Test 1 2 3. Test 1 2 3. What are you doing? make me do this the hard way, aren't you? Test 1, 2, 3. 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 Okay. How did I manage that? Well, that's a good trick. How did I do that? Test 1, 2, 3. Test 1, 2, 3. Test 1, 2, 3. Test 1, 2, 3. Test 1. Test 1, 2, 3. Test 1, 2, 3. Test 1, 2, 3. 2, 3, 1, 1. 2, 2, 1, 1. Test 1, 2, 3. Test 1, 2, 3. Test 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. Test 1, 2, 3. Hello. Hello, 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 hello. Hello, 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 hello. Test 1, 2, 3, 1. Test 1, 2.
Year, and it was about a man and a woman who had been in love for many years. They were both married to other people, but they still loved each other. They agreed to meet once a year for a week, even though they had families. Most of the time, they lived normal lives with their spouses and kids. Our wives got teary at the end when the couple had to say goodbye to return to their families. I couldn't help but say, "What nonsense. They both cheat on their families and you think that's sad? They should be caught together and face the music." "Andy, how can you say that?" Maria reacted. "They were real lovers who only met once a year." I replied, "So, does that mean I can meet my old girlfriend once a year as long as Trina doesn't find out?" Trina was angry. "You jerk! This isn't about you and your old girlfriend, Melissa. This is about people who love each other. You probably won't ever understand that." Bob saw that the tension was rising and said, "Time out. It's just a movie. I don't think we should argue over something so silly." I turned to him. "If Maria was your wife, would you think it's okay for her to have an affair once a year?" I said, "If I found Trina doing that, I'd kick her out. And Trina, you shouldn't have brought up Melissa just because she..."
Okay.
In here, subscribe to Cheating Stories Fast, so you don't miss new stories.
The wife had a few secret meetings, but with whom? In today's story, we'll find out. Enjoy watching. Timothy West sat at his desk at Johnson Engineering. He was the head of the engineering department, and his job was to ensure that any problems with their products were promptly corrected, both in the factory and in the field. He had sent Carl Johnson, the owner's nephew, to fix a problem in Penton, a 6-hour drive from their location. Carl and 2 mechanics were there for 3 days and had already returned, having fixed the issue. The company produced seals in a variety of sizes, from small seals used in households to giant 30-ton car pressure seals. When one of these machines broke down, production suffered. So fast and reliable service was a necessity. This particular machine had broken down just 2 weeks ago, and Carl had insisted it was fixed. However, 10 days later, it broke down again. Carl called, saying the problem had been fixed and they were coming back. When Sam, the owner, called Tim into his office and informed him that the machine had broken down again, and the company was insisting that Tim handle the issue personally, Tim, who didn't like conflict, agreed to go. He called Chris to let her know he'd be out of town for a couple of days and that they'd have to cancel their dinner. Chris was not happy and said she would go out anyway, seeing no reason why it should ruin their evening. She slammed the phone down. Tim hung up and wondered where the loving wife he once knew had gone. Timothy West was 32 years old and graduated with honors from university with a Master of Science in Engineering and a Bachelor of Science in Computer Science. Everything about him was average, 5 feet 9 inches, 150 pounds. He was not good at sports, but thanks to his above-average IQ of 150, he was an excellent student. He was quite physically fit due to going to the gym twice a week and was good.
Welcome to Story Tales. Please like this video and subscribe to Story Tales. I hope you enjoy the story. Let's begin. The front door creaks as I push it open, the familiar sound echoing through the silent house. My briefcase feels heavier than usual as I set it down, my shoulders slumping with the weight of another long day at the refinery. The air inside is thick with an unsettling quiet, so different from the lively home I once knew. Miranda? Joshua? I call out, my voice bouncing off the walls. No response. I loosen my tie, a faint frown creasing my brow. It's not like Miranda to be out this late without letting me know. And Joshua? That boy's been spending more and more time holed up in his room lately. I make my way down the hall, the hardwood floor creaking beneath my feet. A soft laugh drifts from the kitchen, barely audible. My steps slow as I approach, something in my gut tightening. Miranda's at the kitchen island, phone pressed to her ear, her back to me. She's speaking in hushed tones, a lightness in her voice I haven't heard directed at me in I can't remember how long. I know, she says, giggling softly. You're terrible. I clear my throat, and she whirls around, her eyes widening. The smile vanishes from her face, replaced by a look of guilt, fear. It's gone so quickly I can't be sure. Oh, Henry, you're home, she says, her voice unnaturally high. I didn't hear you come in. I've got to go, she adds into the phone, ending the call abruptly. Who was that? I ask, trying to keep my tone casual as I loosen my tie further. Miranda waves a hand dismissively. Oh, just Carol from the office. You know how she gets with her stories. I nod, but something doesn't sit right. Since when does Miranda talk to Carol outside of work? And why did she look so caught out when I walked in? Is Joshua home? I ask, changing the subject. Miranda's eyes flick towards the stairs. He's in his room. Been there since he got home from school. I frown. Has he eaten? She shrugs, turning away to busy herself with the dishes in the sink. I'm not sure. You know how he is these days. Barely says 2 words to me. The unease in my stomach grows. When did we become this family? Strangers living under the same roof, tiptoeing around each other? I'll go check on him, I say, heading for the stairs. Miranda doesn't respond, and I don't wait for her to. As I climb the steps, I can't shake the feeling that something's off. It's been building for weeks now, months, maybe. Little things. Miranda's late nights at the office, her hushed phone conversations, the growing distance between us. And Joshua, my bright, curious boy who used to chatter endlessly about his day. Now he's a ghost in his own home. I pause outside his door listening. No sound of video games or music. Just silence. I nod gently. Josh, you in there, bud? A muffled grunt is the only response. I take that as an invitation and push the door open. The room is dark, lit only by the glow of Joshua's computer screen. He's hunched over his desk, not bothering to turn around as I enter. Hey, I say, leaning against the doorframe. Everything okay? Joshua shrugs, still not looking at me. Fine. I step further into the room, my eyes adjusting to the dim light. You hungry? I don't think you've eaten yet. Another shrug. Not really. I move closer, concern growing. This isn't like him. Even in his moodiest teenage moments, Joshua's never been this withdrawn. Josh, I say softly, placing a hand on his shoulder. What's going on, son? He flinches at my touch, and that's when I see it. A dark bruise peeking out from under his t-shirt sleeve. What happened to your arm? I ask, my voice sharper than I intend. Joshua tugs his sleeve down quickly. It's nothing, just football practice. But I've seen my share of sports injuries, and that doesn't look like any tackle bruise I've ever seen. Joshua, I say more firmly this time, look at me. Slowly, reluctantly, he turns. In the pale light from the screen, I can see the shadows under his eyes, the tension in his jaw. He looks haunted, like he's carrying a weight too heavy for his 15 years. What's really going on? I ask, crouching down to his level. You know you can talk to me about anything, right? For a moment, I think he might open up. His eyes meet mine, and I see a flicker of something. Fear? Pain? But then it's gone, shuttered behind a wall of teenage indifference. It's nothing, Dad, he mutters. I'm just tired. Can I go to sleep now? I want to push to demand answers, but I can see the exhaustion etched in every line of his face. Whatever's going on, tonight isn't the night to force it out of him. All right, I say, standing up with a sigh. But we're not done talking about this. Get some rest, okay? He nods, already turning back to his computer. As I leave his room, closing the door behind me, the weight in my chest grows heavier. Something's very wrong in this house, and I'm beginning to fear it's been going on right under my nose. The next morning, I'm up early, determined to try and connect with Joshua before the day sweeps us all away again. The kitchen is quiet as I pull out pans and ingredients, the familiar routine of making breakfast a small comfort in the growing unease of our home. I hear footsteps on the stairs and look up, hoping to see Joshua. But it's Miranda, already dressed for work, her heels clicking against the tile as she hurries into the kitchen. You're up early, I comment, flipping a pancake. She barely glances at me as she pours coffee into a travel mug. Big showing this morning. That lakefront property I told you about, remember? I don't remember, but I nod anyway. Will you be home for dinner? Miranda pauses, a flicker of something crossing her face. Guilt? Annoyance? It's gone before I can place it. Probably not. The Johnsons want to see that split level in Kingwood, and you know how picky they are. It'll be a late one. I frown. That's the third night this week, Miranda. Joshua's 15. Henry. She cuts me off, her tone sharp. He doesn't need us hovering over him every minute. Besides, isn't that why we pay Mrs. Hernandez to come by after school? Before I can respond, she's grabbing her keys and heading for the door. I've got to run. Don't wait up. The door slams behind her, leaving me standing in the kitchen, spatula in hand, feeling like I've been hit by a sudden gust of wind. When did my wife become this whirlwind of activity, always rushing out, always too busy for us? And when did I start feeling like a stranger in my own home? Heavy footsteps on the stairs pull me from my thoughts. Joshua shuffles into the kitchen, eyes downcast, making a beeline for the coffee pot. Morning, bud, I say, trying to inject some cheerfulness into my voice. How about some pancakes? He grunts non-committally, pouring himself a mug of coffee. As he reaches for the sugar, his sleeve rides up, and I catch another glimpse of that bruise. In the morning light, it looks even worse, a mottled purple spreading across his bicep. Josh, I say, keeping my voice calm, I really think we should talk about that arm. He stiffens, his back to me. I told you, Dad. It's nothing. Just football. Football season ended a month ago. I point out gently. Joshua's shoulders slump, and for a moment, I think he might finally open up. But then he straightens, turning to face me with a forced smile that doesn't reach his eyes. Spring training, he says. Coach is doing drills already. You know how it is? I do know. I played high school football myself, and I know that no drill should leave a bruise like that. But I can see the walls going up behind Joshua's eyes, and I know pushing now will only drive him further away. All right, I say, sliding a plate of pancakes across the counter to him. But you'd tell me if something was wrong, wouldn't you? If someone was hurting you? Joshua's eyes flick to mine, a flash of something crossing his face. For a heartbeat, I think he might break. But then he's looking away, shoving a forkful of pancake into his mouth. Of course, Dad. He mumbles around the food. Everything's fine. He wolfs down the rest of his breakfast in silence, then grabs his backpack. Gotta go. Don't want to be late. And just like that, he's gone, leaving me alone in a kitchen that suddenly feels too big, too empty. The drive to work is a blur of Houston traffic and troubled thoughts. I can't shake the image of Joshua's bruised arm, the haunted look in his eyes. And Miranda, her behavior this morning nags at me. The rushed exit, the defensiveness about her late nights. It's not the first time I've noticed these things, but somehow, this morning it all feels more urgent, like puzzle pieces slowly clicking into place, forming a picture I'm not sure I want to see. At the refinery, I go through the motions of my day. Meetings, reports, decisions that once felt crucial now seem trivial in the face of the gnawing worry in my gut. I'm in the middle of a budget review when my phone buzzes. Unknown number. Mr. Lawson? A woman's voice says when I answer. This is Mrs. Reeves from Westfield High. I'm calling about Joshua. My heart rate kicks up a notch. Is he all right? There's a pause on the other end of the line. Physically, yes, but we're concerned. Joshua's been very withdrawn lately. His grades are slipping, and today in class, well, he had what I can only describe as an emotional outburst. I close my eyes, pinching the bridge of my nose. What kind of outburst? He became very agitated during a group discussion. Started yelling about how nobody understands, how everything's a lie. When Mr. Hanson tried to calm him down, Joshua, he flinched away like he thought Mr. Hanson was going to hit him. The words hit me like a physical blow. Joshua, my son, afraid of being struck by a teacher? What the hell is going on? Mr. Lawson? Mrs. Reeves' voice pulls me back. We're very concerned. Is everything all right at home? Is it? The question echoes in my mind, bringing with it a flood of doubts and fears I've been trying to ignore. Miranda's late nights and secretive phone calls. Joshua's bruises and withdrawal. The growing silence in our house. Everything's fine. I hear myself say, the lie tasting bitter on my tongue. I'll talk to Joshua when I get home. Thank you for letting me know. I end the call. My mind reeling. I need to get home. I need to talk to my son. Really talk to him. Something is very, very wrong, and I've been blind to it for too long. The rest of the day passes in a haze of worry and impatience. By the time I pull into our driveway, the sun is already setting, painting the sky in shades of orange and purple that would normally soothe me. Tonight, they just add to the surreal feeling that's been growing all day. Miranda's car isn't in the driveway. Of course not. Another late night at the office. Or is it the seed of doubt that's been planted grows a little more? I unlock the front door, calling out as I enter. Joshua, you home? Silence greets me. The house feels empty, but Joshua's backpack is by the door. He must be here somewhere. I climb the stairs, my heart pounding with each step. What am I going to say to him? How do I get him to open up when he's been shutting me out for so long? I pause outside his door, taking a deep breath before knocking. Josh, can we talk? No answer. I try the handle, it's unlocked. Slowly, I push the door open. The room is dark, curtains drawn against the fading daylight. For a moment, I think it's empty. Then I see him, a huddled shape in the corner, knees drawn up to his chest. Joshua, I say softly, approaching slowly. Son, what's wrong? He looks up, and the devastation in his eyes nearly brings me to my knees. His face is tear-stained, his eyes red and swollen. But it's the fear I see there that cuts me to the core. Dad, he chokes out, and suddenly he's not a sullen teenager anymore. He's my little boy, scared and hurting, and I don't know why. I'm on the floor beside him in an instant, pulling him into my arms. He stiffens for a moment, then collapses against me, his body racked with sobs. It's okay, I murmur, holding him tight. I'm here. You're safe. Just tell me what's wrong. Please, Josh. Let me help. For a long time, he just cries, clinging to me like he did when he was small and had a nightmare. I stroke his hair, murmuring reassurances, my mind racing. What could have happened to reduce my strong, independent son to this? Finally, his sobs subside, replaced by hitching breaths. He pulls away slightly, wiping his face with the back of his hand. I saw them, he whispers, his voice raw. Saw who? I ask gently, though a part of me already knows, already dreads the answer. Joshua takes a shuddering breath. Mom, and him. Him. The word feels like ash in my mouth. The guy she's been seeing. Clint. Joshua's voice is barely audible now. I came home early yesterday. They were in the living room. Mom saw me, but she didn't stop. She just looked at me and then looked away. The world tilts on its axis. I feel like I'm falling, even though I'm sitting on solid ground. Miranda, my wife, cheating. Now. And for the first time in too long, I actually believe it. The holding cell is cold and sterile. The hard bench beneath me is a constant reminder of where I am and why. My knuckles throb, bruised and split from the fight with Clint. But the physical pain is nothing compared to the worry gnawing at my gut. What's happening to Joshua? Is he safe? And what have I done to our future? The cell door clangs open, and a tired-looking officer appears. Lawson, your lawyer's here. I follow him to a small, windowless room where Sarah Chun, my attorney, waits. Her usual crisp appearance is slightly rumpled, as if she rushed here straight from bed. Given the late hour, she probably did. Henry, she says as I sit across from her. Want to tell me what happened? I run a hand through my hair, wincing as my bruised knuckles protest. He was at our house, Sarah. That bastard who's been hurting Joshua. He was just sitting there on our porch like he owned the place. Sarah's eyes narrow. Clint Markham? I nod, a fresh wave of anger washing over me at the name. He started taunting me, saying things about Joshua. I lost it. I see. Sarah's voice is carefully neutral. And how badly is Mr. Markham hurt? I close my eyes, remembering Clint's bloodied face. Bad enough. But Sarah, you have to understand, this man has been abusing my son for months. With Miranda's knowledge, I couldn't just stop. Sarah holds up a hand. Don't say another word about what happened. Not until I've had a chance to review all the facts. She leans forward, her voice softening. Henry, I know you were protecting your son, but assaulting Markham, especially after everything that's happened with Joshua, it complicates things. complicates? I repeat, a chill running down my spine. What do you mean? Sarah sighs. The DA might see this as vigilante justice. They could push for serious charges. And in terms of custody, well, it doesn't look good. The thought of losing Joshua after everything we've been through is like a physical blow. What can we do? For now, we focus on getting you out on bail, Sarah says, all business again. Then we'll deal with the charges and the custody issue. One step at a time, Henry. As Sarah leaves to arrange my bail, I'm left alone with my thoughts. The gravity of what I've done, of what it could mean for Joshua and me, settles over me like a heavy blanket. But beneath the worry and regret, a small part of me can't help but feel a grim satisfaction. Clint will think twice before he ever lays a hand on my son again. Hours later, I'm released on